on that 10-minute walk. On that 10-minute walk. Yes, these are really sunglasses that I bought. See that? These are my Macho Man's, paying homage to the Macho Man Randy Savage. Probably hard to listen to a guy that's wearing such obnoxious sunglasses. But I like to have fun. I like to have fun in this life and in this world. So I wanted to help you guys with, and some of these things, when I say help you guys, I'm talking more to myself probably than anything else. In this case, literally, because there's nobody else around. But excuses can be blocked by the dialogue that you have. Excuses can be changed by the dialogue that you have, by the internal dialogue that you have. I think it's very important. I know a lot of you guys and girls out there listen to a lot of podcasts and listen to a lot of information, but it's important that you become a producer and not just a consumer. It's important that you produce, take the information and actually do something with it, actually do something useful with it. A lot of times what blocks us, what slows us down, is the excuses, because excuses are comfortable. God, I feel at home in front of this building. This is where I've done many power projects in the past, right here. This is where a lot of them started, right in front of Bistro 33 in Davis, California. But the excuses are a nice little warm blanket. Nice little warm blanket that makes us comfortable with the worthless things that we made up, and that's what excuses really are. They're made up. Now, occasionally there are things that excuse you from other things. I have to do this because I have to do something with my kids. Well, that does excuse you from, but a lot of times that's not the way that we use excuses. We're not trying to be excused from something. We're trying to fake it. We're trying to dodge it. We're trying to dodge it, and we know that it's going to be difficult. We know it's going to be hard, and therefore, boom, insert the excuse. People that are executing on a high level, they don't care about your excuses, and other people don't care about your excuses anyway. But if you want to be able to have the ability to execute on a high level in anything that you do, you got to throw the excuses in the garbage. But what I've learned over the years is that a habit has to really be replaced by another habit. So the bad dialogue that you have, the negative dialogue that you have, the negative self-talk that you have, has to be replaced. Because it can't be replaced with nothing, because the mind is always going. The mind is always wandering. The mind is always doing. The mind is always pushing. It's time that you change the internal dialogue to be more positive. To think about the things that you already know. These things are already internal. They're already inside of you. You already pretty much know what to do. To lose weight, to gain strength, to make more money, to be better at whatever it is that you do. I say this all the time. Champions are not born, they are made. And on top of that, everyone possesses the ability to get better each and every day. I've never met one person that doesn't possess the ability to get better, but I've met many who have squandered their skills and let them rot away and do a whole lot of nothing with themselves. It's time that you change the internal dialogue that you have. Negativity is always going to be there. You're always going to have negative self-talk. You're always going to have self-doubt. It is part of being a human being. It's part of the rationalization of what happens every day. The mind wandering is part of it. But what do we admire most in people? We admire most in people the people that can spin as many plates as possible up on one tiny little point and not have any of them fall down, and in some cases not have any of them even slow down. But if you think about those plates and you're spinning a bunch of plates, if you're distracted, if you have excuses, those plates will crash. Those plates will burn. You're going to have to figure out a way. I do this a lot myself. I'll say, I don't have time for that. That is a load of crap. What about, so like I end up dealing with, in my phone, I have a lot of high-level people in my phone. But even the highest of the high, sometimes when I message them, sometimes they'll say, oh man, I'm really swamped this week. Man, you know what? I don't know if I'll have time for that. I just got so much going on. He who stops is overwhelmed, distanced, and crushed. He who is silenced is forgotten. Think about that. Think about being overwhelmed. That's not something I admire in anybody. Oh my God, I got so much going on. They have so much going on that they can text you back at that moment. It's like, you're not overwhelmed. You don't have too much on your plate. You don't have too much to do. Because the more that you do, the more that you can handle. Do more, be more. And the excuses that you pile up, like saying that you're too busy for something, or saying that you're overwhelmed, is just a lie to yourself to make you feel more comfortable about what you're not doing. You do know what you could do. You do know what you should do. But a lot of times we still don't do it. And I'm in the same boat. I'm in Big Gay Al's Big Gay Boat Ride. Just like on South Park. Anybody else remember that episode? It's a long time ago. No one's immune to it. But instead of saying you don't have time, make the time. Create the time. And recognize that things take time. And maybe you can't do that right now, but you'll be able to do it right later. You'll be able to do it right later if you take your time. Take your time. Learn how to do things right. You won't get thrown in jail. You won't go to hell for it. Learn how to execute. Learn how to do the reps the right way. Learn how to do the exercise the right way, and then do reps. Once you get the reps and once you know how to do it the right way, then apply some force. Then put a little step into it. Then put a little mustard on it. Put something into it. Put a little oomph into it. That's when you can get angry. And that's when you can put some force into it and give it everything that you got. But not until you know how to do it the right way. Not until you're learned up, until you sharpen your skills. So we are no longer going to say, I can't afford that. That is a poor mindset. As a poor man's thinking. If somebody who's really, really wealthy is thinking about, let's say, purchasing a $10 million home, they don't think to themselves they can't afford it. They think to themselves, I haven't earned that yet. That's a different mindset. That means, you know what, I'm going to have to keep working towards that, but at some point I'll be able to get that. But I hear people all the time saying they can't afford stuff. What a loser mindset that really is. You can't afford it. You know what you can't afford? You can't afford to be fucking off on the weekends. You can't afford to be wasting time. You can't afford to be eating junk day in and day out and going to a job that you're sick and tired of. You can't afford to continue to repeat the same monotonous day over and over and over. You can't afford to do that anymore. I've had people ask me, I got very tunnel vision about lifting years ago when I was squatting 1,080, benching 854, and deadlifting 766 pounds, baby, pounds. When I was picking up those weights, I had somebody ask me, like, is it unhealthy? What's unhealthy is not to embrace your fears and follow through with your dreams. Embrace your fears and follow through with your dreams. Embrace your fears and follow through with your dreams. Follow through. If you follow through on stuff, you'll be rare. If you follow through on stuff, you'll be standing alone, because most people don't follow through, have follow up. Part of following through and part of following up is no longer using excuses. I would like for everybody that's listened to this message today, I'd like for all of you to start to work on, anytime you say something negative, I want you to try to replace it with something more positive. Any of the excuses that you have, you're still going to make them, but champions don't make excuses, they make adjustments. Champions don't make excuses, they make adjustments. So figure out a way to make an adjustment that's going to allow you to improve, rather than standing still and having a bucket load of excuses pouring down on you all the time. You can't be positive all the time. It's impossible. One of my goals in life is to have a day where I'm positive for the entire day. I'm 42 and it hasn't happened quite yet. I'll let you know when it happens. Negativity is always going to bleed through. And negativity and evil are more convenient. They're easier. It's harder to live. It's harder to live than it is to go blow your brains out. It's harder to stay here and live. People think, that people talk about life expectancy and they talk about how people are living longer. I 100% disagree. People are dying longer. Many people have died around the age of 40, and they just happen to drag it out another 40 freaking years. And I wish that they didn't. Some people would be better off if they just keeled over right now on the spot, since they're wasting their time. Their hopes, their dreams, their desires are already buried inside of them. They never shared them with anybody anyway. So why not peace out? Do us all a favor, the way I look at it. You really have to lean into the resistance of life. You think about the resistance that we face in the gym, and you think about when that resistance hits you the worst. What do you usually do? Especially if you're in a group. If you're in a group training with some people, what do you usually do? Rep number 8 comes, and they said it was a set of 15, and you got a drop set after that. The weights are literally making your muscles scream. And what do you end up doing? You end up screaming back. It's fucking right. That is right. You end up screaming back. You end up getting vocal. You end up getting angry. You end up letting out a or whatever the noise is that you make. You end up letting out some funny faces and some funny noises and making funny faces. Maybe even a fart or two, depending on how strenuous it might be. That's what you want to do with life. You want to yell back. Think about everywhere else in life. Do you get that type of stimulus? Do you feel that? Think about the burn that you get in your legs when you've just done a bunch of squats, and you just done a bunch of reps and squats. You're on rep number 12, and you got 20 reps, a 20 rep set, and you're hating it but loving it at the same time. Because you know that the pain that you're getting right there is for growth. The pain that you're getting right then and there is for expansion. Expanding your mind, your body, and your soul. You can't get that anywhere else. We get the opportunity to lift weights. We get the opportunity to put more resistance on our back. We get the opportunity to shout back. You can't get that in a boardroom meeting. You can't get that from mowing a lawn. You can't get that from inventing a product. You can't get that from writing a book. You can't get that from music. You can't get that from anywhere else. The only place where you can get that from is from hard ass work that takes you to places inside yourself that you didn't even know existed. You get taken places. It's the lifting of the weights. It's the building of the mind. It's the building of the body. It's the building of the soul. To just call it bodybuilding and leaving it at that is a mistake. Soul building. I mean, you're building an empire almost from lifting weights, because it gives you everything and then some. And if you give yourself and then some in this life, you'll get that and then some and back again. You'll get everything you ever wanted. There's only a couple of rules to all this, and they're not that complicated. Don't be a dick is probably rule number 1. I listened to the Dutch Brothers CEO talk at a leadership conference, and he said there's no dicks that work at Dutch Bros. That's it. Great concept. I'm in. Let me get a fucking cup of coffee from that place. I don't want a dick face taking my order. I want someone who's got a smile. I want someone who is at least pretending to care about me for 10 seconds. Everything you need is already inside of you. You need to figure out ways to draw that shit out. One way to draw it out is to go to the gym. One way to draw it out is to do a 20 rep set of squats. That's one way to draw it out. That's one way to get it. Another way to get it is to do some sprints, run some stairs, work your body, feel your heartbeat, lose your breath, be breathless, be without oxygen for a while. When we're training, it's almost instinctive in our body that we know that we're growing. And I think that's why we like to fight back. If you haven't been bitten by the iron bug, if you've never been bitten by the iron bug before, then you probably have not taken yourself to the limit yet. Which that's okay, because everyone should start out this game slow. There's no reason to come out sprinting right away. It could be a mistake. People ask, how do you stay consistent? I've been lifting for 30 years. I never stopped. The longest layoff I ever had was about a week, and that was probably a month ago. It was probably more like 6 days, really. 5-6 days. And then even then, tons and tons of exercise, tons of walking. But there just wasn't any lifting. I'm on day 2 of 100 push-ups, if anybody wants to join me. Day 2 of 100 push-ups. I'm going to do 100 push-ups for just as long as I can hang on for. I don't know how long I'll string it together for. But today was day 2 of that. We had a girl recently on the podcast. She said she does 100 push-ups every morning. I was like, oh. And it took me a few weeks to get to it. I've been talking about doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a little while. And I stopped talking about it because I'm like, it doesn't do me any good to talk about things that I'm not doing, because we have a word for people like that who talks about something they're never going to do. Cowards, right? That's what I've shared with you guys in the past. I've shared with you guys many times. Cowards talk about what they'll never do. I'm fired up this morning. I'm trying to teach you guys some new ways to nix the excuses out of your life. to not allow them to interfere with your day-to-day, to not allow them to block you from the things that you want to do. Figure out ways of keeping yourself busy. Don't just consume. Don't just be a consumer. Don't only consume information. Do stuff with the information, because the answer isn't in what you know and what you don't know. The answer is in what you know and what you do. It's in what you know and what you do. No longer are you allowed to say you can't afford something. If you're going to say I can't afford it, then you're going to add to that sentence. And you say I can't afford that right now. I have not earned the opportunity to be able to purchase such an item yet. Do you have time for that? Do you have time for this? Do you have time for that? Obviously, you're not going to have time for everything. But you should make time for the things that are important to you. Why would these things keep coming up if they're not important to you? You're drawn to it. Your heart is speaking to you. Think with your heart. Follow your heart. In business, in life, in everything that you do. Follow your heart. Your heart will lead you to the right spot every single time. It's important that we lift weights. It's important that we push ourselves. It's important that we push other people so they push us. It's important that you encourage other people. You pick other people up. I'm hoping when they bury my ass in the ground or light me on fire or whatever they decide to do with my remains, I hope that what they say about me is that I lifted other people and not so much about me lifting weights. I want that to be my legacy, because I enjoy helping other people. But selfishly, I'm 100% aware that it comes right back on me, and it comes right back to me. If I'm going to teach you how to lift, I'm going to teach you how to live. And yes, I'm walking in circles. If I'm going to teach you how to lift, I'm going to teach you how to live. We've got some seminars coming up at Super Training. Super fired up for those. I've been in talks with Ed Milet. I've been in talks with Andy Frisella. I'm in talks with Tom Bilyeu. I'm in talks with all kinds of different people, because I want to rub elbows with these guys. I want to know what they know, and I want to share what I know with them. I take these guys through brutal workouts and have these guys blow my mind with some of their knowledge and some of the things that they know. Just out here getting in some steps, getting in some walks, showing off these fancy sunglasses. Replace those excuses. Think about your excuses as being a bad habit and replace it with a good habit. Whenever something negative is about to shift in there to tell you to not go for that walk or to tell you to not lift at that time, don't allow it to happen. And figure out ways to safeguard yourself against excuses. People talk about child-proofing their home when they have a kid. Well, you need to fat-proof your life away from having the same eating habits that you used to. So if you're going to leave your house without food, without a prep meal, big mistake, especially if you're a fatty, because you already proven to yourself that you don't know how to make the correct decisions. You've proven to yourself over and over again that you don't know how to do that. You don't know how to navigate that part of your life yet. Not a wise move. Not a wise move. Be steps ahead. Every great leader is what? Many steps ahead. The greater the leader, probably the further ahead they are. Many steps ahead. Don't just react. Don't be a bitch. Don't just react to being hungry. Oh my God, I'm so hungry. And then there you are, living that same lie, being the coward that you were the day before, and the day before that. Eating the same shit. You're cowardly. You're weak. You're cowardly and you're weak because Cowards talk about what they will never do. And you will never lose that 20 pounds. And you will never be able to keep it off. I say that from a negative standpoint, but I mean it. It's because you have to change. Period. You want to change things for yourself, you have to change your life. You have to implement small changes, and those small changes over time will be the results you're looking for. Gradum ferociter, step by step, ferociously, constantly and consistently, 1 foot in front of the other. And eventually, when you continue to put 1 foot in front of the other people will say, oh my God, that was great. And here you are the whole time like this, head down, 1 foot in front of the other. You didn't even know. You didn't even know that you did anything extraordinary. But you did. All you have to do to be extraordinary as an adult is follow through. Have that follow through. It's kind of all you need to do. Follow through on the things that you say to yourself and the things that you say to other people. Pretty simple concept. Pretty simple thing to be able to grasp and get a hold of. I'm going to go inside this coffee shop, get some espresso, get fired up, and get to work. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Multiply your hustle, multiply your muscle, and may all your shits be tapered. Later.